There aren't many announcements that have generated as much interest as BlackRock's new iShares XRP ETF in the world of finance and cryptocurrencies, which is constantly changing for the better. At first look, it seems to suggest that this is a substantial endorsement of XRP and a step ahead for the adoption of cryptocurrencies. What if, however, this exchange-traded fund is not the final round, but rather the beginning of something that is significantly more calculated, strategic, and concerning? It is with great pleasure that we present to you today an explosive and profoundly investigative piece that is based on a BlackRock internal paper that was stolen and named Project Titan Federal Digital Asset Custody. It is not simply a matter of introducing a new financial product. Rather, it is a matter of radically reorganizing the digital financial future of the United States and putting it squarely under the authority of the most powerful asset manager in the world. The iShares XRP Exchange Traded Fund, ETF, is just the public-facing front of a deeper and more covert activity, as stated in the respective paper. The ultimate objective of BlackRock, with the purpose of being the sole custodian of the XRP reserves held by the United States government. That's true. BlackRock is not only interested in providing you with exposure to XRP through an exchange-traded fund, ETF. Specifically, it is interested in managing the digital infrastructure of the United States Treasury. In the roadmap, everything is laid out under the codename Project Titan, which is a multi-phase plan to influence legislation, obtain regulatory favor, and secure exclusive contracts with federal agencies that are responsible for managing sovereign digital assets. It's not a matter of guesswork. In plain sight, it is shown in black and white. A number of words such as achieving regulatory capture, lobbying strategic subcommittees, and securing sole source custodial authority over digital asset reserves are included in the confidential document. These words are really unsettling. The picture that is painted is not of a corporation that is developing a product that is competitive. Rather, it is of a financial behemoth that is carrying out a stealthy takeover of the national infrastructure. The purpose of this is not to provide a more advantageous investment vehicle. The rules of finance are being rewritten in their favor, and this is the goal. The question is, why XRP? As opposed to focusing on Bitcoin or Ethereum, why has BlackRock chosen to concentrate its efforts here? The solution can be found in the technical structure of XRP as well as its worldwide utility. Unlike Bitcoin, which is more commonly referred to as digital gold, XRP is designed to facilitate high-speed, scalable, and international financial transactions. It is already incorporated into financial systems all across the world and has a practical use case with Ripple's on-demand liquidity, also known as ODL. XRP is the cryptocurrency asset that is the most ready to be used by governments. Efficiency, environmental friendliness, and conformity with international standards are all features of this product. The selection of XRP by BlackRock is not arbitrary. It involves selecting the asset that is most suited for usage by the sovereign. On the other hand, here is the negative aspect. BlackRock's goal is to control the XRP community rather than contribute to the development of a decentralized network or to empower the community. Project Titan claims that their objective is not simply to control the access to institutions, rather they want to control the amount of XRP that is held in reserve by the nation. Take that into consideration for a moment. If BlackRock is the only company that is permitted to manage XRP and the United States Treasury begins keeping it for the purpose of cross-border settlement or digital dollar backing, then we are witness. The operation is broken down into 5 stages in the text. In the first phase, work has already begun. iShares XRP ETF has been released for trading. The product is advertised as a cutting-edge financial instrument that provides institutions with a secure and hassle-free method of gaining exposure to XRP. On the other hand, BlackRock views it as a strategic gateway that gives public credibility while simultaneously increasing policy leverage throughout the company. The true purpose of the first phase is to pave the way for conversations with regulatory authorities and policymakers that take place behind the scenes without public scrutiny. In the second phase, lobbying is the primary focus, and it is now taking place. Senators and important members of the House Financial Services Committee are on the agenda for meetings that the BlackRock team is actively attending. However, the roadmap that was released demonstrates that clarity is code for control, despite the fact that they are working to provide clarity in the regulation of digital assets. The goal of their endeavor is to guarantee that any potential regulatory framework concerning the custody of digital assets will be in accordance with their proprietary version. They are not content with merely complying with the regulations. Rather, they aim to establish the compliance standard. Imagine for a moment that all cryptocurrency custodians are required to adhere to standards that were drafted by BlackRock and mandated by authorities that they had helped to influence. Partnerships with federal agencies are to be formed during the third phase. This includes the Department of Defense, the Federal Reserve, and even the Department of Treasury, which, by the way, has indicated interest in the role that blockchain technology will play in the future of cybersecurity. It is proposed by Project Titan that BlackRock be selected as the preferred federal custodian of digital assets that are held in reserve with the government. BlackRock already administers pension funds, exchange-traded funds, ETFs, and government investment vehicles, which is the logic behind this decision. Now, why not put your faith in them when it comes to digital assets? It is also suggested in the roadmap that BlackRock's current infrastructure be used to house a federal XRP cold storage facility. This facility would be fully remote from the public blockchain, and access would be provided solely through the use of government keys. Let there be no doubt about it, this is a power grab that is being carried out under the guise of innovation. They're not simply investing in cryptocurrency either. Their goal is to acquire ownership of the rails. There is no ambiguity in the vocabulary used within BlackRock. It is better to become the system rather than to disrupt it. Moreover, because of the power they have in Washington, they are in an excellent position to accomplish this. The corporation already has former Treasury officials serving on its board, and former executives from BlackRock are currently serving in the administration of Vice President Joe Biden. From Wall Street to Washington, the door that leads back and forth between the two is wide open. BlackRock is rushing through it with a Trojan horse that is labeled as an exchange-traded fund, ETF. Let's move on to discussing the repercussions of this. In the event that BlackRock is successful in capturing a dominant position in the market for digital asset custody, particularly for government reserves, the price of XRP may experience a meteoric rise. The reason for this is not only speculation, but also the fact that demand from institutions and sovereign governments would pour into a limited supply. According to the document, and if they allowed themselves to regulate the movement of XRP through channels that were approved by the government, they would be able to artificially restrict liquidity. This provides them with T. In accordance with this paradigm, an analyst working for BlackRock thinks that the price of XRP might reach between $1,200 and $2,500 per token. This is especially true if it is connected to liquidity operations conducted by central banks or international settlements. Is that a positive thing, though? Presently, the XRP community is faced with the challenge of addressing this dilemma. In spite of the fact that XRP is on the verge of becoming the backbone of institutional finance, it is possible that this backbone is currently being held captive within the vaults of BlackRock. In the event that the decentralization of XRP is sacrificed on the altar of institutional adoption, what are we left with? There is a higher charge, but there is also corporate control over a network that was previously open. It is important to note that not everything in Project Titan is a malicious thing. The creation of infrastructure, the clarification of compliance requirements, and the integration with global settlement systems are the primary focuses of several sections. When you zoom out and look at the bigger picture, however, it is much easier to understand. The goal of BlackRock is not only to take part in the cryptocurrency market, rather it is to rule it from the very top down. To add insult to injury, BlackRock does not have to compete with other companies. If they are successful in obtaining these contracts, they will have the ability to change the regulations, which will prevent anyone else from entering. This results in the creation of a closed ecosystem in which the firm that manages trillions of dollars now controls the subsequent monetary layer of the United States. Neither of these are speculative. This is taking place right now. BlackRock has raised its spending in Washington, D.C. by 42% over the course of the past year, with nearly all of that increase being dedicated toward digital asset regulation, according to disclosures made by lobbying organizations. Currently, there are continuous meetings with senators and agencies. They are constructing a digital fortress, and the XRP ETF is the attractive gateway that makes everything appear secure and normal. They are laying the bricks for the fortress. So what are your options? To begin, be conscious, let your voice be heard. This narrative is much more significant than forecasts of prices or trends in the market. The future of financial sovereignty, the